Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope that you're feeling really wonderful today. I've been resting up a little bit and I've been taking some time to sit with the energies and really meditate and think about what this oncoming shift that we're going through entails of. And I've been thinking a lot about this eclipse season, this transition of Jupiter and Saturn into Aquarius, and eventually moving into 2021 and what that looks like. I will be putting together a 2021 year ahead forecast, so be sure that you're subscribed with those bell notifications turned on for when those come out. But today I'm talking about the total solar eclipse that we're having on December 14th. This total solar eclipse will be taking place right in 23 degrees of Sagittarius. And it is a fascinating eclipse to think about. So yes, it is a total solar eclipse. I'll put the details below in the description box about visibility and time zones. But yes, this is a total solar eclipse, so a complete shadowing of the sun, all happening in the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius. So I think that there is a really important consideration to think about that this is happening in Sagittarius. The sign of Sagittarius has been very afflicted in the year of 2020. It has been a tough year for Sagittarius. I would say Sagittarius, Leo, and Gemini have been the signs that have, had the most karmic flotsam and jetsam to deal with, shall we say. Jupiter, Sagittarius's ruling sign, has been in Capricorn all year, and it's been right with Saturn and Pluto. And, it's kind of like Jupiter with an exponent of 10, with Saturn and Pluto being also in Capricorn. It really intensifies and concentrates that Capricorn energy much further than it would if it were just Jupiter alone in Capricorn. So right now, Jupiter and Saturn during this eclipse are exactly conjunct at the last degree of Capricorn. So this is potentially something that we need to really think about, okay? So things in our life basically come up that we really need to think about. There's a sense of urgency with this transit. There's a sense of wake up and understand what you're doing your life for, what you're living for, what your daily routines are actually birthing into your life. There's a sense of like a final reality check, a final wake-up call, a final kind knock at the door before the rest of the group leaves without us. Say you're on a vacation and it's a group vacation and you're oversleeping and people are like, okay, we're going to knock one more time. And if they don't come, we're going without them. It's kind of like this type of energy and it's not really pretty, okay? We're going to talk about the positives of this energy, but you guys know I like to get the tough parts out of the way first. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chart so you guys can see it. We have a lot of semi-sextiles going on. We have Venus at the last degree of Scorpio. We have a node, Mercury, Sun, Moon in the last decan of Sagittarius. And then we have Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in the last decan of Capricorn as well, from 23 to 29. So this eclipse is happening exactly semi-sextile by degree to Pluto, okay? And then as the moon moves up, it will pull it and make the eclipse apply by semi-sextile angle to the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in the last degree of Capricorn. And then also, yes, semi-sextile to Venus in the last degree of Scorpio. Venus is debilitated in Scorpio and Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. This transit is impeccable for us. Do you know why it's impeccable? It's impeccable because nothing that is a problem will be hidden, and nothing that we've needed to work on for a while will be precluded from us. So it's a very truthful energy, kind of. It is also very conflicting, okay? So it feels to me that the purpose of this eclipse is, as we know, an eclipse always something comes in and something goes out, especially with total solar eclipses. This is physical. Something comes into your life, but also something needs to be exchanged. Watch out for hoarder mentality. Watch out for philosophies of failure, doctrines of limitation, okay? Also, doctrines of seduction versus limitation versus philosophy. That's what Scorpio, Sag, and Capricorn are all about. What I could also diagnose from this combination of planets and sign placements is that there is a probably for everybody, and this makes sense collectively with what we've been through in the year of 2020. There's probably becoming a bit of a skewed sense of security and stability. We have Jupiter debilitated in Capricorn and Venus debilitated in Scorpio. The way that the Capricorn-Scorpio sextile functions is it strives to transform into stability. It strives to make all the necessary changes to find stability and security in your life. So if you've got that sextile represented in transiting planets and both on debilitated sides, we're going to have maybe a bit of a psychological damage relating to what changes we make or what decisions we make and how that brings us security or stability in our lives. And this being that the eclipse is happening at the midpoint, almost exactly, of this Scorpio Capricorn sextile, it says to me that it's going to create a catalyst. Sagittarius is like a catalyst. It can be a very, it can be an explosive energy. It's a fire sign. It's a very exaggerated energy also. So very exaggerated responses to errors in judgment, very exaggerated and theatrical and dramatic connotation with other people, especially other people with whom you try to create security with. So marriages come up, problems in marriages would be at a head right now for sure. And then also what needs to happen for them to move forward, what needs to happen for them to get progress. Though what I sense more collectively, so much 29. 29 is the Anaretic degree in astrology. It's a debilitated degree. The last degree of every sign is very powerful, and there are ways that energy can be channeled really well and really positively and productively. But with that immense power, it tends to kind of like bleed off a little bit. And the ego usually goes wild at the Anaretic degree also, because and I should make a video about the Anaretic degree in astrology. Thumbs up this video if you would like a video about the Anaretic degree. But what it does is it gives all of the wisdom of one sign concentrating and convalescing into one degree. It's hard for the human mind to consciously perceive and work with Anaretic energy, and that's because it is so concentrated and so elderly and so almost above the human plane of consciousness that it tends to create a big ego problem. So yes, ego problems right now. This Sagittarius eclipse will definitely show that. Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Scorpio are the most egoic signs of the zodiac. So we definitely need to take a look at our egos and what our egos are striving for versus what our daily lives look like versus what is true. So for any of you who are having conflicts, who are having like disputes or aggressions or arguments or crazy kind of egocentric experiences with other people, as I feel would be possible right now. Mercury is also really close to the Sagittarius eclipse. So I think what we have to do, and also being that it's exactly semi-sextile Pluto, there's a sudden realization with this eclipse. There's a sudden coming to consciousness. There's a sudden waking up, coming back into a height of consciousness. And what I think that consciousness requires is a fine-tooth comb through every spoken word that has come out of our mouths, maybe over the last year of this 2020 Capricorn triple conjunction. Has everything that I've said been necessary? Has everything that I've allowed myself to introduce into the world, whether this be spoken words, work energy, how I'm projecting myself in life, especially when it comes to words and spoken dialogues with Mercury and Pluto making this interplay with the eclipse. I'm afraid that we've said things that we've never needed to say this year. I'm afraid that we've spoken certain things that that we have to at least wake up and realize now were never needed to be said or were never needed to actualize. So mistaken manifestations, mistaken actualizations of words which have become dynamics, which are now becoming physical. Okay. So I think that it's a great time for apologies during this eclipse. I think that it's, you got to watch out though also for people taking advantage of that or for people demanding more than you're needing to give to them. So for some people, it's a good time for apologies and closures. For other people, it's a terrible time for it because it would be like you give an inch and they take a mile. It just depends on the circumstance. But what seems most important is learning a lesson, okay? Again, with Mercury, Sun, semi-sextile to Pluto, it's like we have to really learn the lesson now. Few last seconds to finally get it, to finally wake up, to finally go, aha, this is what's going on. And to kind of eat crow also is what I feel with this eclipse, is that we're like, okay, I realize now that I am out of control of myself and I've got to maybe think about counseling now, or I've got to think about what's going into my body, what am I eating, or am I like drinking too much? Am I like drinking too much alcohol? Am I like not even realizing that I am drinking so much coffee that I am also not in a sober place? Like the chemicals of the body, again, this is what Scorpio rules. Venus is coming in. That debilitated Venus on the other side of this is like the indulgence and the consumption of things which change us. Okay, so the being changed by substances, being changed by loneliness, being changed by solitude, being changed by a type of profession, or what you're putting a lot of your energy to, kind of changing your personality. So yes, this is all very deep, very esoteric stuff coming up with this eclipse. And I understand for some of us, this might be a little bit heavy. But again, what I'm feeling, not to be too repetitive, is that we really have to examine and go back to our spoken words. So this is why it's been so fortuitous in 2020 to journal, okay? To do audio journals or written journals or what have you, because now is where you can really gain a lot through going back and revisiting that and revisiting your state of mind when you said certain things. So let's think about anger. Let's think about frustration. So during a time when you were really angry or frustrated this year and you came to like a journal, or you took a photo, or you have some kind of physical proof of a certain state of being that you were in that was not positive, if you can go back to that and decide now whether that was warranted or not, and I think because the answer is usually a no, like we can look back to the way that we've spoken, or we can look back to the face that we showed, and we can now see that that was absolutely unnecessary, and it has had a momentum, it has had an impact, it has had a consequence. An unnecessary showing of face is now consequential to perhaps our entire livelihood, okay? And everything happens for a reason. Yeah, there's no coincidence. There's nothing is insignificant, okay? So kind of like how certain animals will play dead, or how certain animals will emit a certain bad scent when they feel threatened, we can also be benefited by having portrayed ourselves in a very negative light in the long run. So we have to think about that as well. This is kind of like the energy of a skunk. This is kind of like the energy of rodents that play dead, okay? And they end up surviving because they've essentially pushed away and driven away certain threats in their life. So there's a backhanded fortune in that also. But now can we start to be human? Because humans do not have a reflex quite like this. This has been a year of the rat indeed. So we have been in kind of a rodent type of consciousness this year. And as that is starting to end, we're almost out of Year of the Rat. We're not quite, but we're getting there. As that starts to end, can we start to come back into the human consciousness and get a better idea of purpose and what we're meant for and what we are creating for in our lives, our reason, our driving force? What is that? And has that driving force been represented in our words this year, in our projection, in the face that we've put out? Have we been ourselves? Have we been who we're meant to be? And a train of thought I would highly recommend considering right now is, if I don't accomplish this lofty goal, if for some reason I don't find myself in the manifestation that I thought I would be in, will I be okay? Will I be okay if no is the answer? Because, okay, so the most dangerous part of this eclipse is it can create a doctrine of self, or it can solidify a doctrine of self that does not allow for not accomplishing an end. So you can actually start to become like corrupt or messed up and like, I will do anything to get what I want. I will, because all this anaretic energy, Jupiter and Saturn conjunct at the anaretic degree of Capricorn with Venus sextile at the Anaretic degree of Scorpio. That's like power mongering. That's like, that can be like sadism, actually. That particular sextile of debilitated Jupiter conjunct Saturn at Capricorn's anaretic degree, sextile to debilitated Venus at Scorpio's anaretic degree. That's like sadism, okay? So we have to make sure that we're not losing our integrity or losing our moral compass or losing our humanity, all right? Because this eclipse is going to test us on our humanity. It's going to test us on our psychological wellness. And it's a horrible time to meet a new person also. Very easy to meet somebody with deep but unseeable psychological illness, all right? It's also very hidden. The energy is very hidden of that sextile. The ability to hide a mental illness, the ability to make an environment where people can't realize that someone is actually operating through extreme mental illness, but it's coated over with a shine, with an affectation of wellness. So that's it, and that's why I'm saying through December, my biggest advice for anyone has been lay low, coast, keep it simple, keep on keeping on. Do what you're doing. Take it to the next level. Yes, try these new things. Start to open these new doors for yourself. But make sure that regardless of what happens, whether you see yourself, getting that incredible position or making that incredible amount of money or having these awesome businesses or, the marriage from heaven, whatever, incredible marriage, incredible union, even if those things don't come through, make sure that that's not going to make or break you, all right? That just seems like the most important thing of this eclipse to come through the other side with. Basically, don't exchange your humanity for power, as it seems like a lot of people have that opportunity right now. Let's talk about some of the positive points of this eclipse, okay? Because with so much heaviness, with so much potential turmoil, it's obvious that we can say that the power of this time in general, the power of these moments that we go through this, I mean, really the entire month of December, but especially like December 10th through December 16th, that whole week, the power is immense. And yes, there are ways to harness it and use it well, okay? So what's that going to look like? You can actually finally get somebody on your team now who is totally going to change your world. So for business owners, I think that looks like maybe that perfect investor, that perfect lawyer, that perfect, third person professional who can totally give you security. Okay. So feeling worried about, I don't know, the legal quantities of something and finding the perfect lawyer to where you no longer have those fears ever again, or you don't worry about it. Like worries or fears or paranoias can be satiated with this transit. So something that we've been worried about, okay, am I sick? Do I have, some kind of disease? You can find a doctor now that can totally satiate that worry and you move on, and that energy can now be used elsewhere. Am I incapable of being alone? Am I incapable of spending an entire day in my house without feeling like I'm emotionally unwell? Now you can finally find a counselor or find a psychoanalyst or a therapist who can just within one session heal that for you, and you're no longer burdened by a fear of solitude. That's the power of this time. Also, you can do it for yourself too, depending on what houses this is happening in your chart. If it's below the horizon, it does more so indicate that this is personal. And if it's above, it might come through someone else. So through professionals or anything like that. But also watch out. I mean, again, this energy is so powerful that we just have to be expert. We have to be experts in who we trust, who we take on, who we work with, who we meet and network with. Because definitely like corrupt people as well can come into your life, or you can essentially make like a deal with the devil if you're not careful too. But it feels to me also that you would know it with the sun being in Sagittarius and this eclipse happening. I don't think that it's going to happen by accident. I think that you would have to knowingly kind of authorize that as well. So as long as we're in touch with our humanity and integrity, I don't think we're going to be like surprised so much by what happens, but we can be surprised that we actually did it. You know, we can wake up on the other side of this like in 2021 and be like, whoa, did I actually think that that was going to be right? Did I actually, connect with somebody who was so dark? Okay. Again, it's kind of sadistic energy. It's kind of bad territory for some people. So prayer, that can be at times our only solace, So yeah, gaining a stronger relationship with God or the universe or with source energy is probably the best thing for this, and trying to maybe make it a little bit less physical. Okay. I think that worldly things right now are a bit debilitated, it seems to me, and we need to have Jupiter and Saturn. We need to have Jupiter out of Capricorn. It's not there for much longer. We only have until December 21st to get through. So I don't recommend doing anything too worldly, but also you can have like the perfect person come in to help you get to the point where all of that is in a perfect place too. So again, it's about discernment. It's about processing. It's about knowing the red flags of any situation. But yeah, if you're single, I don't recommend dating right now. I don't recommend doing anything risky right now. I don't recommend huge investments or huge anything that you don't have context with. This is penultimate context energy. Again, this is why I've been recommending context all year. Don't do things uncontextual if you don't have to. And this is where it benefits you, is in this last final moments of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn, where there are dark and deceitful and sadistic people who are like predators right now. Okay. And if we're in a very uncontextual situation, meeting tons of new people, interacting with all kinds of people who we have no trust with, that's the most likely situation in which you can come into contact with one of these types of energies. Though, again, it's not something to be scared of. It's not something to be worried about, because that's what gets your vibration in a place where that's even more possible in the first place. But again, the only reason I bring this up is because if you can just keep things easy and contextual right now, you are going to just coast through this time, and you're going to find a lot of safety through through people that you trust, through situations which have not betrayed you, through situations which have been working for a long time. Okay. What I want to conclude on is a really important thought, and I think is actually very hopeful. This is kind of like karma at play. I think that everybody, all humans right now with this transit, it's like we are settling karmic overflow or karmic. We're basically, if you think of karma like a transaction, we are making change right now. Okay. We have received some type of karma in, and we are now counting change and giving it back. And with that in mind, what happens. It feels that the momentum is what it is now. The momentum is set, and we can still work with that momentum a little bit. In fact, even up until middle of 2021, there's some amount of ability to really get hands-on with your own momentum. But as for now, as for the chain of events that we've been involved with for maybe the last 10 or 15 years, that karmic momentum is set, and there's going to be a karmic zero. I've talked about how the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius is like a karmic zero. We're at a karmic reset. So in order for that to happen, think about it. What has to happen in order for karma to reset, in order to get that karmic zero? For some people, it has to bring up a lot of things. We have to face a lot of things. We have to maybe answer to a few things. We then also, for other people, are given back. This is also the energy of major returns too. So selling a house for a huge amount, getting some type of settlement, getting a business that's way more successful than it was ever meant to be, or that's really crazily successful in a way you could have never anticipated. Also getting an apology, having someone kind of come out of the woodwork and either demand an apology or give an apology. Basically, whatever it is, whether it's a huge return or it feels like it's a cost to you, whatever happens right now, it's for a hopeful reason. And that's to karmically reset where you stand, so that you can actually manifest well in life and not have so many fears and upsets and kind of painful intrigues. Okay, it's going to get a lot lighter and a lot easier in 2021, and things have been very dark and very heavy in 2020. So in order for that to happen, some of us have to like face our demons. We have to face who we are. We have to look in the mirror and understand how we've been motivated, why we've been motivated, and what we're doing is actually bringing into our lives. And it's not a time of fogging up that mirror and also like kind of being like, well, I think that this is what it will bring, but I can't say. This is about true motivation. This is about what motivation is in our life, what role motivation in general plays in our life. And while you look at that and you see that and you see the events coming through to you throughout December of 2020 and leading up to this new wave conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius on the solstice, the 21st of December, it's all going to become quite clear where you karmically stand. And the more that we can face that, and the more that we can see aspects of ourselves that have worked really well and traits or aspects of ourselves that are not really favoring us, how we've spoken, how we've communicated, what decisions we've made, how we've began and ended things. So how you've broken up with people, how you've cut off relationships, likewise how you've started them, and how you've built things is very important to conclude on now. Okay, I mean, prime importance there, because dissecting those mistakes and being able to see what you've done well and what you haven't done well is how you do things even better and heal and grow to do well the things that you've struggled with in the past. So it's beautiful what's happening, but it is hard for the human consciousness to work with. And with that in mind, do bear in mind accident indications too. I've actually talked to quite a few people who've had accidents lately, and keep in mind what is also beating your head up against a brick wall. I've talked a lot about that too. So that's why we want to watch out for our words and our trains of thought, because if you're like really angry all the time, or you're like even thinking bad thoughts about other people, or being really frustrated and angry with yourself and always taking a very stern disciplinarian tone with yourself, that can start to manifest into the real world with Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Anaretic sextile. It's so real, it's so tangible, it's so holdable that good and bad manifest equally in an effort to karmically reset our sort of like mentalities, strategies, and philosophies. So always thinking that your life is in a wreck, always thinking that your life is in turmoil. You could be giving your car an oil change and like trip and fall and spill the oil. Things are becoming so manifest and tangible. You've got to like really become keenly aware of your words. Okay, what am I saying to myself? Am I being mean to myself? Are mean things then happening in my life? Am I being really caring and loving to myself? And then are caring and loving things happening in my life? You'd be surprised about how much these things go hand in hand, especially in this time. And it's like everything that happens to us in real life is just showing us how we are on the inside coming out. And as we see that, we then become much better at creating a nice internal environment, because now we know that our internal environment creates our external environment and vice versa. It's a kind of a symbiotic relationship between the micro and the macro. So that's what Jupiter, Saturn conjunct in Aquarius are going to be all about, is that symbiosis between the micro and the macro. So these are lessons that the quicker that we learn, the more adept we will be at navigating through these next few years. So on that note, everyone, thank you so much for being here. We are at 29 minutes in this video, so I believe it's the perfect time to conclude, being that the energy is as anaretic as it is. So concluding this video at the anaretic minute of it. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit that subscribe button below, turn on those bell notifications, and hit the like button. Comment below and let me know also how you thought about this video and what you would like to see in the future. I'm on Patreon. I have a merch line if you would like to support this channel. All of those options are below. Thank you so much, everyone. Good luck with this time. I know you can get through this feeling stronger and more capable and more humane in your life. I'll talk to you all soon. Much love. Be safe. Bye.